Just like it is with the file system, you have an upside down tree and it branches out from there. It's the same thing with the process hierarchy. You have one process that starts up and it spawns all the other processes. So you boot, and then there's an init process, and then every time somebody logs in, it becomes a child process. So init will spawn the login process first when you log into your account, and then it invokes the bash command because that's the default shell startup. And then if you type ls or ps, that's another process. Bring up your SSH window and type ps at the dollar prompt. Without any arguments, it's just going to show which shell you're running and the ps command itself, because while you submit the command, it shows whatever command you're running. One thing that will help us see the changes when we do a subshell is by changing our prompt. So if we do capital PS1 equals, put double quotes, and we're just going to change it to something different. I'm going to put dash dash, like a big arrow, space, a dollar sign, another space, few spaces, and I'm going to end with the double quote. Something different. I like to have the dollar symbol still there, but now I'm adding these characters in front of it and an extra space after it. My prompt changes. I can still do the PS command. Nothing's changed. What if we invoke another command? One of the commands is the sleep command. We can sleep for, let's say, 300 seconds and run it in the background so you get your prompt back. So put an ampersand at the end and hit return. What comes back now is the process ID of that command. If you type PS again, now you're going to see that the sleep command is one of your processes. If you want to learn more about your process, more than just the current ID, there's a few different options. There's PS-F, which gives you additional columns. And what's nice about this -F option, it shows you the user ID, the owner of the process. Because right now with PS, we're just showing our own processes. Okay? Then it shows you the process ID of each command, and it shows you the PPID, which is the parent process ID. If you notice, the sleep and the PS-F command, they have the same parent process ID. And that process ID is the bash command. Because both of these two commands were spawned from the bash shell. In the environment we're in, we can create variables. So let's create a car variable. We'll set car to BMW. And then to make sure that it got set, we would say echo $car. Okay, that's simple. We've done this before. We created a variable. Okay, we could echo $PS1, which is the variable we just created, and it's showing us the prompt. We can invoke a subshell. It could be a sub bash shell or a sub Bourne shell. So if you just type sh, that's the Bourne shell, and you hit return, notice the prompt changes back to a $sign. We are now in a sub shell, a child shell process. So if we type the PS command, it shows that the original bash shell, it shows the sleep and then it shows sh and the ps command. So we have more things going on. If we echo $car, it doesn't have that variable. Okay, it sees the parent processes, but it doesn't see the car variable that we set in the parent. If we want, and we want that value to be received and used in the subshell, there's an extra step we have to do. Let's type exit. And what that does is we're exiting the born subshell and returning back to the prior login shell. Yes, we're back where we started. If we do echo $car, we can see the value still there. So there's an extra step. If we want our child shell process to have that value for that variable, there's a command called export. So we're going to export. We should be able to export the car variable. So if I type export car, now let's try a subshell again. We're back to the dollar prompt. If I say echo $car, okay, so now the value was passed down. So when you do the export command, you just export the name of the variable. Notice the sleep command isn't there anymore because I only set it for 300 seconds. Once it completes, it's not in the list. Now there's another command we can also do. What if we want to see all the processes for the system? So if we do ps-awx, we're going to get a much longer list. The Apache process is running. There's all kinds of things running that are not owned by us, system processes. For example, if I do a grep, I can find all the processes related to MySQL. And just to be sure, I'm going to use the -i so it will ignore the case. Okay, so there's the MySQL daemon. The servers will have a process with a D at the end. It's a daemon process that runs in the background, just waiting for a client to connect. The same thing would apply to if I did a grep Apache. It's going to show me all the processes that are running for Apache. But you can go through all the different processes, see what else is running. In it. Let's see if we can see. All right, here, sbin/init. That's the first process. Notice the process ID number. It's number 1. So let's try one more variable. Let's create a color variable. Okay. Color equals, and just put your favorite color in there. And say echo. Put the $sign to echo the value. Now, if I want to pass it on to the subshell, I would say export color. And now we can invoke a subshell. And it doesn't matter if it's the born shell or if we type bash, we'll invoke another bash shell. And now let's echo color. And it retains the value. If you do not export the variable, it won't be available to the child process. Okay. If we exit, we return back to where we started. what if we want to stop a process that's running? So let's do the sleep command, sleep 300 ampersand to run it in the background. So now I have the sleep process. If I do PS -F is better. Notice it's going to give me for each process running, it gives me the process ID and the parent process ID. For the sleep command, well, I could just use the PS command, it doesn't matter, but the process ID is what I want to stop. I want to stop the sleep command. So the command to stop it is kill. It's a very violent command. And you just give it the ID. You want to be careful with this one. If you're logged in as root, you don't want to kill the wrong process. So 243065 on my system, you probably have a different number. And if I say kill, and now I do process, it shows that my sleep command was terminated. Okay, so that's the kill command. There's also a command called top if you want to see like what processes are hogging the system. It's top. And you get a long list of what's running. You just hit Q to get out. So does the concepts make sense? The parent process can export variables to a child process. It won't work the other way around, but just like a parent passes their DNA to their children, except for insanity, that you get from your kids. That's the only exception. That was meant to be a joke. Whatever.